Hello. Tonight, we begin with the most fascinating fairy tale. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Two brothers. On one of the Danish islands, where the wind whispers through the ancient beech forests and the sea breathes in long, thoughtful sighs, there stands a little town with houses so low they seem to bow in reverence to time itself. The red tiles of their roofs glow warmly beneath the sun, and the narrow streets carry the scent of the sea mixed with the fragrance of bread from the morning ovens. In the meadows beyond the town, great stones rise from the earth, thing stones, the old seats of judgment where the forefathers of Denmark once met to speak of law and fate. These stones stand still, gray with centuries, like the quiet memory of justice rooted deep in the soil. In one of those humble red-roofed houses, strange and secret things were happening. Inside, in a small room, dimly lit by the open hearth, a soft glow trembled over shelves of bottles and jars, glasses and flasks that caught the flicker of the fire like captured stars. On the table lay bundles of herbs, drying roots, and folded papers covered with curious marks. Mortars stood beside them, stained green and gold by the crushed remnants of plants. A kettle murmured gently over the flames, and faint vapors drifted through the air, carrying the scent of rosemary, sage, and iron. An elderly man moved quietly about the room. His hair was silver gray, and his eyes were bright with the calm fire of one who has sought truth longer than he can remember. His hands were steady, his face serious, yet not unkind. As he measured drops from a small vial into a beaker, he spoke softly to himself, as if to remind the air of something it already knew. One must only do the right thing, he said. Yes, the right, the correct thing. One must discover the truth about every created particle and hold fast to it. The truth alone is the foundation of all. He bent once more over his work, watching how the liquid in the glass caught the light. Behind him, through the half-open door, laughter drifted faintly from another room. Two boys, his sons, still young, but filled with restless curiosity. Their mother sat with them, mending a shirt by the lamplight. She was a gentle woman, with eyes that carried both strength and tenderness, and she had always spoken to her children about what was right and just. Truth, she would say, is the countenance of the Lord in this world. Wherever you walk, let it shine before you. The elder of the two boys, Anders Sando, was bold and bright-eyed, with a look of mischief and wonder that danced in his face. He loved stories, not of kings or fairies, but of the earth and the heavens, of lightning and magnetism, of the sun and the moon and the mysteries that bound them. To him, there was nothing so beautiful as discovery itself. When he heard the rain whisper on the windows, he imagined how each drop carried a secret law of nature. When he saw birds rise into the air, his heart burned to learn how they flew. How marvelous it must be, he said one day, to find out how wings work, to build something that can lift itself into the sky. To understand that would be the right thing to do. Father is right, and mother is right. The truth holds the world together. His younger brother, Hans Christian, was gentler, quieter, more inward-looking. He spent his hours buried in books, often lost in the long silence of thought. When he read about Jacob deceiving his father and stealing his brother's blessing, his small hands clenched in indignation. "It is unjust," he would whisper. "How can deceit triumph, even for a moment?" And when he read of tyrants who crushed the weak, or of men who betrayed their own word, tears would come to his eyes. "There must be a truth that conquers all lies," he told his mother, "and someday I will see it triumph." The mother smiled and kissed his forehead. "Yes, my child," she said softly. "Truth and justice are of God, and no falsehood can endure forever." Evening fell, and a hush came over the little house. The glow from the hearth dimmed, and the sounds of the street faded into the sigh of the wind. The younger boy lay in bed, but his curtain was not yet drawn. The candle still burned beside him, for he had begged to finish one more story. The tale of Solon, the wise lawgiver of Athens. His eyes grew heavy as he read, but his spirit lifted higher with every line. Soon, the book slipped from his fingers, and he was no longer in his little bed, but seemed to be gliding across a vast sea of light and memory. The room faded, and around him rose the marble columns of ancient Greece. He saw men in white robes debating in the sun, and among them stood Solon himself, noble and grave. The boy felt the words flow toward him, not in Danish, but in a language he somehow understood. By law, the land is ruled. Then, through that dreamlike vision, A warmth descended, gentle yet immense. A form of radiant presence bent over him, not of man or angel, but of something older and greater. The genius of the human race, the spirit of all who seek truth. It bent low and pressed a kiss upon the child's forehead. Be thou strong in fame and strong in the battle of life, it whispered. With truth in thy heart, fly toward the land of truth. The boy stirred, smiled faintly in his sleep, and the light dimmed around him like a fading star. In the next room, the elder brother was still awake. He stood by the window, gazing out at the mist that crept across the meadows. Their old nurse had once told him those were elves dancing, tiny spirits with silver feet. But he knew better now. They are vapors, he murmured, warmer than the air. That is why they rise. At that very moment, a shooting star streaked across the sky, and the boy's heart leapt. His thoughts rose with it, soaring from the mist of the earth to the glowing trail of fire in the heavens. The stars gleamed like lanterns of eternal order, and for a moment he imagined that each one hung above the world by a golden thread that reached all the way down to mankind. Then he heard a voice, not in his ears, but in his heart. Fly with me. And suddenly, the world fell away. The same mighty spirit that had kissed his brother's brow now seized him and bore him aloft, faster than wind, faster than thought, beyond clouds, beyond night, beyond all that human eyes could see. The earth turned below, a blue and fragile sphere in the thin air, and the cities upon it shone like beads of light close to one another. Through the silence of the spheres echoed the words, "What is near? What is far? When thou art lifted by the genius of mind." He saw how invisible lines of power stretched from star to star, how the same law that bound the dust to the ground also bound the planets in their dance. He saw the pulse of creation, the great web of order that makes night and day, dew and flame, thought and dream. And he understood, for the first time, that truth is not a single discovery, but the eternal harmony that holds all things together. When the vision faded, he found himself again at the window, the cold glass against his fingertips, the sound of the wind returning to his ears. Below, the meadows lay in silence. Behind him, his mother's voice called softly, "Anders Sandor." Then, after a pause, "Hans Christian." The two boys answered, one from the light of wakefulness, one from the shadows of sleep. Years would pass. The seasons turned over Denmark as surely as the tide turns the shore. the little house would grow quieter, the father's hair would whiten, and the mother's hands would tremble as she mended her last shirt by the fading fire. The boys would become men, each walking the path the Spirit had shown him that night. Anders Sandoe would climb the ladder of science, tracing the laws of the world until he found the hidden music of electricity, the truth that binds matter and motion, the invisible power that hums through all creation. He would teach others to see that the smallest spark in a wire mirrors the lightning in the heavens, and that law, the steadfast law, rules both. Hans Christian would walk another road, no less bright. His search for truth would lead him through the chambers of the heart, through tears and wonder and song. He would learn that truth can also dwell in a story, in the smallest kindness, in the dream of a child who believes. He would write tales where goodness triumphs, not by strength, but by love, where truth shines not in thunder, but in tenderness. And so it was that both brothers, though they followed different stars, served the same light, the light that had spoken to them long ago in their quiet Danish home. When Denmark at last learned their names, it was not only the names of two men it remembered, but of two paths leading toward the same divine truth. For truth, whether it burns in the furnace of science or glows in the soul of a poet, is the same eternal flame. Thus, the people came to know them, the brothers Ørsted, whose hearts had once been warmed by the same fire, whose lives together became the living echo of their parents' words. Truth holds the world together. Moving day. You surely remember old Ole, the watchman of the tower. I have already told you of 2 visits I once paid him, when the wind roared about the steeple, and the whole city lay glittering below. Yet there was a 3rd visit. No, not the last, for one never truly finishes one's conversations with Ole. They linger in the mind, like the echo of the tower bell, long after its tone has faded. Usually, my yearly pilgrimage to the tower took place on New Year's Day, when frost glimmered upon the roofs and the air carried the crisp sound of resolutions. But this time, it was moving day. That day when every street in Copenhagen seems to have been overturned by a giant hand and shaken free of all its refuse. The air down there was thick with dust, with broken crockery, with the smell of musty straw dragged from cellars and attics. Windows yawned open, furniture rolled by on creaking carts, and every cobblestone bore the mark of transition. In the midst of this chaos, I noticed 2 children. They had found a heap of discarded straw beside the curb, perhaps from some old bedding, and with the inventiveness that only the very young possess, they were playing going to bed. They had pulled a tattered scrap of curtain over themselves as a quilt and laughed with delight at their little nest of refuse. "This is wonderful," they cried. Wonderful indeed, I thought, that even in the rubbish of men's dwellings, children can find a dream. But the sight troubled me. It was both comic and sorrowful. I felt an odd weight in my chest, and to relieve it, I climbed the familiar steps to Ole's tower. When I reached him, he greeted me with that calm, measured humor that never left his weathered face. "Ah," said he, "it's moving day. The streets are like one great dustbin, dustbins with style, but one cartload is enough for me, and I've already chosen mine. You see, I always find something to ponder in the rubbish." He leaned on the railing and looked out across the city's roofs. The air was hazy with smoke, and far below, carts rattled along the cobbles. "Soon after Christmas," Ole continued, "I passed a street like this, raw, damp, and shivering with cold. The sort of day when a cough creeps into one's chest. A rubbish man's cart stood there, piled high with the remains of a season's merrymaking. At the very back was a fir tree, still green, still twinkling faintly with scraps of tinsel. Only a few weeks before, it had stood proud and glittering in some parlor. Now it drooped, crowned not with a star, but with dust. I stopped to look. One might laugh, or one might weep at such a sight, perhaps both. And as I gazed, I began to think. Yes, and it seemed to me that the things in that cart were thinking too. Do you know, my friend, that even a worn-out glove has its memories? That glove lay there, its little finger pointing toward the tree, and I fancied it whispered, "That fur touches me. I too have known light and music. My life was one night at a ball, warm with touch and laughter. A single squeeze, and I burst, and so ended my existence." The broken potsherds below it, of course, had their own opinion. They always do. "Tasteless show," they muttered, "for broken crockery finds everything tasteless." "We were of use once," they said, "but what is that green stick worth now? A useless ornament." And so they argued in the dust, each from its own point of view, as people do down there on the streets. Yet to me, Ole went on softly, that tree seemed like a bit of poetry fallen into the gutter. The tinsel caught the light of heaven better than many a polished soul does. Yes, there is often a kind of sorrowful beauty hidden in the refuse of moving day. He smiled and turned from the railing. Down below, they are exchanging one set of walls for another. They load their wagons with furniture, and behind every cart rides a house goblin, unseen but faithful, carrying with him all the family's little quarrels and disappointments. What moves is not just the household, but the whole invisible cargo of their lives. The laughter, the grudges, the tears. They believe they begin anew, but they only unpack the same old hearts in a different room. Then Ol's tone grew solemn. There is another kind of moving day, he said, one written not in the almanac, but in eternity. The poets have spoken of it in the old verse printed long ago in the newspapers. Remember death's great moving day. Yes, death too is an administrator, the most faithful of them all. Have you ever considered his many occupations? He is a bus conductor, collecting fares at the door of eternity. He is the passport clerk, stamping each traveler's paper. He is the manager of life's great savings bank, where every deed, great or small, is deposited. When he comes with his omnibus, we must climb aboard, and he hands us our references, the record of what we have done. That document will either comfort us or sting us, for it is drawn from our own account. No man has escaped that omnibus journey. They say one once tried, the wandering Jew they call him, and because he could not enter, he must now run forever behind it. Poor soul, what the poets have done to him! But the rest of us, kings and beggars, geniuses and fools, we must all take our seats side by side. No one brings his wealth or title, only the small coin of his deeds. Ol paused and drew in the cool tower air. Imagine the passengers, he said quietly. Here sits the beggar who once warmed himself on a stool in a cold corner, enduring blows and insults. In death's omnibus, that same stool becomes his carriage, shining like gold, blooming like an arbor. For patience has turned his pain into splendor, and there sits another, one who drained the sparkling cup of pleasure and forgot his wrongs in its froth. Death gives him a wooden keg to drink from, a bitter draught of memory. What was once inscribed forgetfulness upon his goblet now reads remembrance. He drinks and sees himself clearly for the first time. That is punishment enough. The worm that never dies, gnawing not the flesh, but the conscience. Ol's eyes gleamed in the dimness. Whenever I read history, he said, I cannot help imagining each great figure boarding that bus at last. What did death withdraw from their savings? What single act became their passport to eternity. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. There was once a French king. His name escapes me, though his kindness does not. In a time of famine, he fed his starving people, and in gratitude, they raised a monument of snow, writing upon it, "More quickly than this melts did you help us." I believe death gave him one single snowflake, white, eternal, fluttering above his head like a blessing, as his token on the journey. But there was another king, whose name I remember all too well, Louis XI. Wickedness is harder to forget than goodness. You know the story. He executed his chancellor, perhaps with cause, but on the same scaffold he placed the man's innocent children, that their father's blood might spatter them. He caged those poor boys in the Bastille, bare and shivering, and every 8th day the executioner came to pull a tooth from each child. The elder begged, "Spare my brother. Take 2 from me instead." Even the hangman wept. But the king's order was stronger than pity. And so, every 8th day, a silver dish bearing 2 tiny teeth was brought before the throne. When death came for Louis, I think he reached into the savings bank of life and withdrew those same 2 teeth as the king's expense money for eternity. They flew before him like fireflies, bright, burning, accusing. That was his remembrance. Ole fell silent for a long while. The city murmured below us. The bell ropes quivered faintly in the wind. At last he said, "Yes, it is a serious ride, that omnibus on the great moving day. And who knows when our turn will come? Not marked on any calendar, yet it may arrive at any moment. A knock, a whisper, and there stands the conductor with his list. Which of our deeds will he choose for us, I wonder?" He looked out again, and the lamplight from the streets wove golden threads through the mist. "That," said Ole, "is why I keep watch, not only over the city, but over my own heart. For every day brings a small, moving day, and every kindness stored may yet pay our fare to eternity." The butterfly. There was once a butterfly who had grown weary of drifting alone through fields of sunlight. The thought came to him one morning, while hovering over a dew pearl, that perhaps it was time to take a bride. He wanted, naturally, the prettiest and most graceful one he could find among the flowers. For who, he reasoned, could better suit a butterfly's delicate wings than a blossom's tender petals? He began his search with great seriousness, if such a word can ever apply to butterflies. Across the wide garden, he fluttered from border to border, peering with an exceedingly critical eye at every bed of blooms. They all sat so still upon their green stalks, like modest maidens on a Sunday, blushing beneath the sun and swaying ever so slightly in the breeze. Truly, they behaved as demure young ladies should behave before they are engaged. Yet there were so many of them that our butterfly soon grew dizzy from the abundance of beauty. Choosing seemed impossible, and when things become difficult, a butterfly, like many men, prefers to take a rest. So he went to consult the daisies, those white-petaled fortune-tellers the French so charmingly call Marguerite. They are said to prophesy matters of the heart. Lovers pluck away their leaves, whispering questions between each tear. Does she love me? Ardently? Truly? A little? Not at all? The flower gives its answer in silence, by the chance of its last petal. Every tongue in every land repeats the ritual. The butterfly approached one such daisy glowing in the grass. "Dearest Marguerite," he said, pressing a gentle kiss on each of her leaves instead of cruelly plucking them. "You are the wisest lady in the garden, famed for your insight. Tell me, I beg you, which among your sisters shall be my bride? Point me to her, and I shall fly straight away to offer my heart." But Marguerite made no reply. She was affronted that he had called her a woman when she was clearly but a girl. And girls, you know, can be quite particular about such distinctions. He asked again, and yet again, but she held her tongue in perfect silence. Then the butterfly, impatient and a little offended himself, fluttered off. "Very well," he thought. "I shall find a wife without your help." It was early spring, and the air was fragrant with the crocuses and snowdrops, those first tender heralds of the season. He admired their delicate gowns, white, blue, and lilac, and found them very charming indeed. "Pretty little maidens," he said, "but perhaps a bit too prim, too polite. Youth, after all, sometimes finds innocence a little dull." So he sought the older girls. The anemones caught his eye next, but he soon discovered a certain bitterness in their perfume, a sharpness that stung his taste. The violets were lovely, yes, but oh, so sentimental. They sighed and drooped and spoke only of devotion. The lime blossoms were sweet, but they came in large families, and the butterfly feared a mother-in-law behind every leaf. Then he turned to the apple blossoms, fair as roses, delicate as clouds. Yet he worried they would wither with the first breath of wind. A wife who may fall tomorrow he reasoned, is no wife at all. At last he spied the pea blossom, half hidden among the vines. She was a vision, white with a blush of pink, slender as a maiden in her first ball gown. "Ah," said he, "here is grace and usefulness besides. She can adorn the table and serve in the kitchen. What more could a sensible husband ask?" He hovered close, ready to declare himself, when his eyes fell upon a pod beside her, with a shriveled flower still clinging at the end. "And who might that be?" he asked politely. "My sister," said the pea blossom with a modest smile. "Your sister?" gasped the butterfly. "And you will one day look the same?" Horrified, he flew off in great haste, for the sight of age before marriage chilled him to the core. Soon he came upon a honeysuckle twining along the hedge. She bent gracefully toward him, her scent sweet as honeyed wine. Yet there were too many just like her, with long, pale faces and thin complexions. "No, no," sighed the butterfly. "She is charming, but so is every other honeysuckle along the road." He desired something rare, something unique, and the search went on. Spring passed away. Summer ripened and waned. The orchards grew heavy with fruit. The sun grew weary, and the evenings turned gold. Still, the butterfly had made no choice. The flowers, now in their richest attire, paraded before him in splendid gowns of scarlet and purple, yet he saw only that they had lost the fresh fragrance of youth. For the heart, even when it grows old, still seeks the scent of newness. And that is something no autumn bloom can give. So he turned his attention at last to the mint. Humble plant. She had no blossom to boast of, yet every leaf was full of sweetness, green and refreshing from top to root. Here, thought the butterfly, is virtue without vanity, fragrance without show. She shall be my bride. He made his declaration with great ceremony, but the mint listened quietly, standing stiff and dignified. When at last she answered, it was with gentle firmness. "Friendship, if you please, nothing more. You see, dear sir, we are both past our spring. You and I may comfort each other in conversation, but marriage? No, let us not make ourselves ridiculous." And so the butterfly, after all his fluttering and philosophizing, obtained no bride. He had delayed too long, and those who spend their years choosing often end by choosing nothing. Thus he became what the world calls an old bachelor, a title more melancholy than grand. Autumn deepened into gray, rain drummed upon the leaves. The winds rattled the willows until they groaned, and the bright world of summer faded into mist. It was no weather for a creature in gossamer clothes. Fortunately, the butterfly found shelter by chance in a warm human dwelling. There, beside a crackling stove, it was as mild as July. "Ah," said he, "here I can exist quite comfortably." But after a while, existence alone seemed a meager comfort. "To exist is not enough," he murmured. "I need sunshine, freedom, and a little flower to love." He fluttered against the window pane, longing for the open air. Those in the room saw the flash of his wings, admired him, caught him gently, and pinned him to a board in a cabinet of curiosities. "There," they said, "he will stay preserved forever." The butterfly, still vain even in captivity, tried to console himself. "Now I am perched upon a stalk, like the flowers I once courted," he said. "True, it is not very pleasant, but perhaps this is what marriage feels like. One cannot move, yet one must look beautiful. Yes, perhaps this is wedded life." "That is poor comfort indeed," whispered a potted geranium nearby, its leaves quivering in sympathy. "Ah," thought the butterfly, with a faint smile, "one cannot quite trust these plants that live in pots. They have seen too much of mankind." And so he hung there, still, glittering, beautiful, and utterly alone. The Bishop of BöRglum and his men. We are up in Jutland, near the wild marsh. We can hear the North Sea, hear it tossing about, for it is quite close by. Before us, there rises a great sand dune. We have been looking at it for a long while, and we've been, and still are, driving toward it, very slowly, through the deep sand. On the top of this sand dune is an old, rambling building, the BöRglum Monastery, the largest wing of which is the church. We arrive there in the late evening, but the air is clear and the night is bright, so we can enjoy an expansive view over meadow and moor as far as the Aalborg Fjord, over field and heath, out over the dark blue sea. Now that we are up there, we drive on through barn and shed, then turn through the gates and on into the old castle court, where the linden trees stand in a row along the walls. Sheltered from wind and weather, they thrive here, and their leafy branches almost hide the windows. We climb up the winding stone staircase. We then walk through the long corridors beneath raftered ceilings. The wind whistles so strangely here, whether outside or inside. One doesn't quite know where the sounds come from. And then one tells stories. Yes, a person tells and sees so many things when he is frightened or wants to frighten others. The old dead monks, one says, glide silently past us and into the church, where the wind rushes through and seems to us to be singing Mass for their souls. This brings strange thoughts to one, thoughts that carry us back into the olden times. There is a stranded ship on the coast, and the bishop's men are active there on the beach. While the ocean has spared some of the voyagers, these men spare none. The water will wash away all trace of crimson blood that has flowed from broken skulls. The stranded goods, and there are many, all belong to the bishop. The waves have washed up the anchor, and barrels filled with fine wines for the cellar of the monks, where there is already a full supply of ale and mead. There is also a plenitude of poultry, sausages, and ham in their kitchen, and in the ponds outside are fat bass and delicious carp. The Bishop of BöRglum is a man of power. He owns much land, and yet he wants to acquire more. All must bow before him. Oluf Glob, a wealthy kinsman of his, at Thy, has just died. The widow will find Oluf Glob neither kin nor kind to her. Her late husband ruled the whole district, with the exception of the church properties. Her son is in a foreign land, having been sent away at his own wish when no more than a boy to learn foreign customs. For years, no word has come from him. He may be in his grave and may never return home to take over the rule that now his mother must assume. What? Shall a woman rule? Says the bishop. He summons her into the courts. But for what gain? She has broken no law. Right and justice are on her side. Bishop Oluf of BöRglum, what are you pondering over? What are you writing on that white parchment? What is it that you now conceal under band and seal, and then give to a knight and his servant, who ride off with it, out of the country, far away to the city of the Pope? The time of the falling leaves, the season of storms and wrecks, is past, and now icy winter comes. Twice it has come with no tidings from abroad, but now finally, with its return, the knight and his servant ride back from Rome, bearing a papal ban against the widow who dared oppose the pious bishop. A curse upon her and all that is hers. Cast out is she from church and congregation. None shall dare lend her a helping hand. Friends and kinfolk alike must shun her as a plague and pestilence. What will not bend must break, said the bishop. The people all forsake her. Yet she is steadfast in her trust in God, who alone will be her strength and bulwark. Only one servant, an elderly maid, remains faithful to her. Together, they guide the plow over fields where the corn flourishes, though the land has been cursed. You child of hell, I shall yet carry out my purpose. says the Bishop of BöRglum. "Now I summon you before the tribunal that will condemn you." Then the widow harnesses her last 2 oxen to her carriage, and she and her faithful servant drive away across the heath, out of the land of Denmark. Now she is a stranger among strangers, where a strange tongue is spoken, and where foreign customs prevail, far away, where the green hills rise into mountains, and where the vineyards grow. Traveling peddlers pass her, carefully guarding their loaded wagons, in deadly fear of attack from robber barons. But the 2 poor women, in their humble cart drawn by the black oxen, may pass in safety along the dangerous roads and through the dense forests. Now they are in France, and they meet a gallant knight followed by 12 men at arms. The knight pauses and looks at the strange wagon, and then asks the younger of the women what country they have come from and what their journey's destination is. She explains that they are from Thy, in Denmark, tells of her cares and misery. But these all seem to come to an end. Our Lord has guided them together. The stranger knight is her son. He holds out his arms and embraces her, and the poor mother weeps, which she has not been able to do for many years, but rather has bitten her lips until blood has come forth. It is the time of the falling leaves, the season of wrecks. The ocean washes ashore filled wine casks for the bishop's cellars. In his kitchen, the wild venison is roasting. It is pleasant and warm within doors, though winter freezes without. But news is brought. Jens Glob has returned to Thy with his mother. Jens Glob summons the bishop into court to demand their lands and rights. "Much good that will do him," said the bishop. "Spare your efforts, Sir Jens." Another year passes. Again the time of the falling leaves returns, the season of wrecks. Icy winter follows, and the white bees swarm about and sting one's face until they melt. It is sharp weather today, say people who have ventured out into it. Jens Glob stands close to his fire, lost in thought. He singes his mantle, burns a hole in it unawares. "I will master you yet, Bishop of BöRglum. You are safe from the law, sheltered by the mantle of the Pope, but not safe from Jens Glob." He writes to his brother-in-law, Sir Oluf Hase of Salling, bidding him meet him Christmas Eve at Mass in Vidberg Church. The bishop must leave BöRglum and come to Thailand to read the Mass there. This Jens Glob knows. Meadow and moorland are buried beneath ice and snow, and across them speeds a cavalcade of horse and riders, the bishop, his clerks, his squires. They take the shortcut among the waving reeds, where the wind sings its melancholy song. blow your brazen trumpet, you trumpeter, dressed in fox skin. It sounds sharply in the clear air. They ride on over heath and moorland, where in the warm summertime Fata Morgana decks her magic bowers. On they ride to the south, toward Vidberg Church. The wind blows his trumpet too, blows it louder and louder, creating a storm, a terrible storm that continues to grow in force. On through the storm, toward the church, they ride. The house of God stands firm, but the storm drives on over field and moorland, over fjord and ocean. The bishop reaches the church, but Sir Oluf Haas can scarcely do so, however hard he rides. He reaches the opposite side of the fjord with his men, whom Jens Glob has summoned to aid him in calling the bishop to account. The church is the courthouse. The altar is the council table. The candles in the heavy brass candlesticks are all burning. Outside, the storm screams out the accusation and the sentence. The wind rushes through the air, over moorland and heath, over the rolling billows. No ferry boat can cross the fjord in such weather. Oluf Hase is held at Ottesund. He dismisses his men, bids them keep his horse and armor, and take his farewell to his wife. For alone will he risk his life in the roaring waters. They will be his witnesses that it is not his fault if Jens Glob stands alone in Vidberg Church. But his faithful warriors will not leave him. They will follow him even into the raging waters. 10 of them are swept away by the torrent. Oluf Hase and the 2 youngest reach the opposite shore in safety and have still 4 miles to ride. It is past midnight, Christmas Eve. The wind has died down. The church is lighted up, the light shining from the windows over meadow and heath. The service is ended, and the house of God is so still that the wax can be heard dripping from the candles to the stone floor. Now at last, Oluf Hase arrives. Jens Glob meets him in the forecourt, saying, "God day, the bishop and I are reconciled now." "Are you indeed?" says Oluf. "Then neither you nor the bishop shall leave this church alive." His sword flashes from its scabbard and splits in 2 the wooden door of the church, which Jens has closed between them. "Hold back, dear brother-in-law. First see what sort of reconciliation this is. I have slain the bishop and all his men. Not one of them will do evil again. And we need say nothing more of the wrongs done my mother." The altar lights burn red, but redder is the stain that shines from the church door. There, lying in blood, is the bishop, with a cloven skull, and lying dead around him are his men. It is quiet and calm on the holy eve of Christmas. The third evening after Christmas, funeral bells in BöRglum convent. The murdered bishop and his slain men lie in state beneath a black canopy, lighted by candelabras swathed in crape. The once mighty lord is a corpse, robed in a silver-bordered mantle, with the crozier in his powerless hand. Incense fills the air as the monks chant a funeral dirge. It sounds like a sentence of wrath and condemnation, and may be heard over the whole countryside as it is carried along and wailed by the wind. Sometimes the accusing voice sinks to rest for a while, but it never dies out completely. It always rises again, carrying its dismal strains late into our own century, singing of the cruel Bishop of BöRglum and his wicked men. On many a dark night, the terrified peasant, driving along the heavy sandy road past BöRglum convent, hears it. And the sleepless listener within BöRglum's thick walls hears it too. The church entrance has long been walled up, but superstitious eyes still see the door there, opening before them. The candles in the church brass crowns shine, and the church is revealed in its former splendor, rich with the smoke of incense, while the monks still sing the funeral mass for the murdered bishop. He lies there in his silver-bordered robe, the crozier in his powerless hand, the bloody wound shining as red as fire from his pale, proud forehead. There are the worldly mind and evil passions that burned. Sink into the grave, into the night of oblivion, you dismal memories of the olden days. Listen to the voice of the wind sweeping over the rolling sea. Out there, a storm is raging and will take many lives, for the sea has not changed its nature because the times have changed. Tonight, it is all mouths to devour. Tomorrow, perhaps, it will be as clear as a mirror. Just as it was in the olden times we have now buried. Sleep calmly if you can. Now it is morning. The new day brings sunshine into the room, but the wind still blows, and there is news of a wreck, as in the olden times. Last night, down by Löken, the little red-roofed fishing village visible from our windows, a ship was wrecked. But by the use of a rocket apparatus, a line was cast ashore and a bridge made between the wreck and the mainland. All on board were saved and brought to land, and beds were found for them. Today, they are going to BöRglum convent. There they will find warm hospitality, be sheltered in comfortable rooms, see friendly eyes, and hear kindly voices speaking their own language. The piano will sound for them with melodies of their native land, and before these have died away, a chord of another sort will be struck. Soundless and yet full of sound and certainty, the telegraph wire will reach the homes of the shipwrecked in a foreign land and tell of their safety. Then, with their minds at ease, they will join in the dancing at the feast given in the hall at BöRglum. Waltzes and folk dances will be danced, and songs will be sung about Denmark and her valiant soldier in our time. Blessed be you, our new age. Let a fresh and pure summer breeze sweep through the towns. Send your sun rays into our hearts and minds. Let them erase the dark traditions of the cruel days of old. 12 by the mail. It was very frosty, starry clear weather, quiet and calm. Bump! A pot was thrown against a door. Bang! Fireworks were shot off to welcome the new year, for it was New Year's Eve. And now the clock struck 12. Trataratra. There came the mail. The big mail coach stopped outside the gate to the town. It carried 12 people and couldn't hold more, for all the seats were taken. Hurrah! Hurrah! Rang out in the houses where people were celebrating New Year's Eve. They arose with full glasses and drank a toast to the new year. Health and good wishes for the new year, they said. A pretty little wife, lots of money, an end to nonsense. Yes, these were their wishes for one another, and glasses were struck together, while the mail coach stopped in front of the town gate with the unknown guests, the 12 travelers. What kind of people were they? They had passports and luggage with them. Yes, even presents for you and me, and for all the people in the town. Who were these strangers? What did they want? And what did they bring? Good morning, they said to the sentry at the town gate. Good morning, said he, as the clock had struck 12. Your name? Your profession? Asked the sentry, when the first of them stepped out of the carriage. Look in the passport, said the man. I am myself. And a splendid-looking fellow he was, too, dressed in a bearskin and fur boots. I am the man on whom many people pin their hopes. Come to see me tomorrow, and I'll give you a real new year. I throw dollars and cents about, give presents, and yes, I even give balls, 31 of them. That's all the nights I have to spare. My ships are frozen tight, but in my office it is warm. I am a merchant, and my name is January. I have only bills. Then came the second. He was a comedian, a theatrical director, the manager of masked balls, and all the amusements you could think of. His luggage consisted of a great barrel. We'll beat the cat out of the barrel at carnival time, he said. I'll amuse others, and myself, too, for I have the shortest time to live of the whole family. I get to be only 28 days old. Yes, sometimes they throw in an extra day, but that doesn't make much difference. Hurrah! You must not shout so loud, said the sentry. Yes, "I may," said the man. "I am Prince Carnival, and traveling under the name of February." Now came the third. He looked very much like fasting itself, but strutted proudly, for he was related to the 40 Nights and was a weather prophet. But that is hardly fattening employment, and for that reason he approved of fasting. He had a cluster of violets in his buttonhole, but they were very small. "March, march!" shouted the fourth, and pushed the third. "March, march, into the guard room. There's punch there. I can smell it." But it wasn't true. He only wanted to make an April fool of him. Thus the fourth began his career in the town. He looked very jolly, did little work, and had lots of holidays. Good humor one day, and bad the next, he said. Rain and sunshine, moving out and moving in. I am also moving day commissioner. I am an undertaker. I can both laugh and cry. I have summer clothes in my trunk, but it would be very foolish to use them now. Here I am. When I dress up, I wear silk stockings and carry a muff. Now a lady came out of the carriage. "Miss May," she called herself, and wore summer clothes and overshoes. She had on a beech tree green silk dress and anemones in her hair, and she was so scented with wild thyme that the sentry had to sneeze. "God bless you," she said, and that was her greeting. She was beautiful, and she was a singer, not of the theater, but a singer of the woodlands, not at county fairs. No, she roamed through the fresh green forest and sang there for her own entertainment. In her handbag, she had a copy of Christian Winther's Woodcuts, which were like the beech tree forest itself, and also little poems by Richard, which were like the wild thyme. "Now comes the mistress, the young mistress," shouted those inside the carriage. And then out came the lady, young and delicate, proud and pretty. You could easily see that she was born to be a lady of leisure. She gave a great feast on the longest day of the year, so that her guests might have time to eat the many dishes of food at her table. She could afford to ride in a carriage of her own, but still she traveled in the mail coach like the others, for she wanted to show she wasn't too proud. But she didn't travel alone. With her was her elder brother, July. He was a well-fed fellow, in attire and with a Panama hat. He had but little baggage with him because it was a nuisance in the heat. He had brought only his bathing cap and swimming trunks. That isn't much. Now came the mother, Madame Auguste, a wholesale fruit dealer, proprietor of many fish tanks, and landowner, wearing a great crinoline. She was fat and hot, and took an active part in everything. She herself even carried beer out to the workmen in the fields. "In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread," she said. "That is written in the Bible. Afterward, we can have the picnics and dances in the woods and the harvest festivals. Such was the mother. Now again came a man, a painter by profession, a master of colors, as the forest soon learned. The leaves had to change their colors, but how beautifully, whenever he wished it. Soon the wood glowed with red, yellow, and brown. The painter whistled like the black starling bird, and was a brisk worker. He wound the brown-green hop plants around his beer jug, which decorated it beautifully. Indeed, he had an eye for decorating. There he stood with his color pot, and that was all the luggage he had. Now followed a land proprietor who was thinking of the grain month, of the plowing and preparing of the land, and, yes, also a little of the pleasures of field sports. He had his drum and his gun, and he had nuts in his game bag. Crack, crack. He had an awful lot of baggage with him, and even an English plow. And he talked about farming, but you couldn't hear much of what he said because of the coughing and gasping. It was November coming. He had a cold, such a violent cold that he used a bed sheet instead of a handkerchief. And yet he had to accompany the servant girls and initiate them into their winter service, he said. But his cold would go when he went out woodcutting, which he had to do, because he was master sawyer for the firewood guild. His evenings he spent cutting soles for skates, knowing that in a few weeks there would be good use for these amusing shoes. Now came the last passenger, a little old mother with her fire pot. She was cold, but her eyes sparkled like two bright stars. She carried a flower pot with a little fir tree growing in it. I shall guard and nurse this tree so that it may grow large by Christmas Eve and reach from the ground right up to the ceiling, and be covered with lighted candles, golden apples, and little cut-out paper decorations. This fire kettle warms like a stove. I take the storybook from my pocket and read aloud so that all the children in the room become quiet. But the dolls on the tree come to life, and the little wax angel on top of the tree shakes its golden tinsel wings, flies down from the green top, and kisses in the room. Yes, the poor children too, who stand outside and sing the Christmas carol about the Star of Bethlehem. And now the coach can drive again, said the sentry. We have the 12. Let another coach drive up. First, let the 12 come inside, said the captain of the guard. One at a time. I'll keep the passports. Each is good for a month. When that has passed, I'll write a report of their behavior on each passport. Be so good, Mr. January. Please step inside. And in he went. When a year has passed, I shall be able to tell you what the 12 have brought you, me, and all of us. I don't know it now, and they probably don't know it themselves, for these are strange times we live in. The Beetle. The emperor's horse was shod with gold, a golden shoe on each of its feet. And why was he getting golden shoes? He was a magnificent-looking animal, with slender legs, intelligent eyes, and a mane that hung down his neck like a soft veil of silk. He had carried his master through the smoke and flame of battle, and heard the bullets sing and whistle around him. He had kicked and bitten those about him, and done his share of the fighting whenever the enemy advanced. He had leaped, carrying his master on his back, over the enemy's fallen horse, and had saved the emperor's red gold crown, saved the life of the emperor, which was much more valuable than the red gold. And that's why the emperor's horse had golden shoes, a golden shoe on each of his feet. And the Beetle came creeping out. "First the big ones," he said, "and then the little ones. But size isn't the only thing that does it." Then he stretched out his thin legs. "And what do you want?" demanded the blacksmith. "Golden shoes," replied the Beetle. "Why, you must be crazy," said the blacksmith. "Do you want golden shoes too?" "Golden shoes?" said the Beetle. "I'm just as good as that great creature that is waited on, curry-combed and brushed, and served with food and drink. Don't I belong to the imperial stable too? But why does the horse have golden shoes?" asked the blacksmith. "Don't you understand that?" "Understand? I understand that it is a personal insult to me," said the Beetle. "It's just done to annoy me, so I'm going out into the world." "Get out of here," said the blacksmith. "What a rude person," said the Beetle as he left the stable. He flew a little way and presently found himself in a beautiful flower garden, all fragrant with roses and lavender. "Isn't it lovely here?" asked one of the little ladybirds that were flying about, with black spots on their red shield-like wings. "How sweet it smells here, and how beautiful it is." "I'm used to much better things," said the Beetle. "Do you call this beautiful? Why, there isn't so much as a manure pile here." Then he went on and got into the shadow of a large gillyflower. A caterpillar was crawling along on it. "How beautiful the world is," said the caterpillar. "The sun is so warm, and everything is so pleasant. And when my time comes, and I must die, as people call it, I'll wake up again, and I'll be a butterfly." "What conceit," said the Beetle. "You fly about like a butterfly indeed. I'm from the stable of the emperor, and no one there, not even the emperor's favorite horse, who wears my cast-off golden shoes, has any idea like that. Get wings, fly, Why, I can fly already." And then the beetle flew away. I don't really want to be annoyed, and yet I am annoyed. Soon afterward, he settled on a large lawn. Here he lay quietly for a while, and then he fell asleep. My goodness! The rain came down in buckets. The noise woke up the beetle, and he wanted to get down into the earth at once, but he couldn't. He tumbled over. Sometimes he was swimming on his stomach, sometimes on his back, and it was out of the question to try to fly. Would he ever escape from there with his life? So he just lay where he was and remained lying there. When the rain had let up a little and the beetle had blinked the water from his eyes, he saw something gleaming white. It was linen that had been put out there to bleach. He managed to make his way to it and creep into a fold of the damp cloth. Certainly, this place wasn't as comfortable as the warm stable, but there was nothing better. And so he stayed there for a whole day and a whole night, while the rain stayed too. The next morning, he crept out, very much annoyed with the weather. 2 frogs were sitting on the linen, their bright eyes shining with pleasure. "What wonderful weather this is," one of them said. "How refreshing, and this linen holds the water together so perfectly. My hind legs are tickling as if I were going to swim." "I'd like to know," said the other frog, "whether the swallow, who flies so far in her many trips to foreign countries, ever finds a better climate than ours. Such a storm, and such a downpour. You really might think you were lying in a wet ditch. Anybody that doesn't enjoy this weather certainly doesn't love his native country." "Have you ever been in the emperor's stable?" asked the beetle. "The dampness there is both warm and refreshing. That's what I am used to. That's the climate for me. But one can't take it along on a journey. Isn't there a nice hotbed here in the garden where persons of rank, like me, can find a place to live and make himself at home?" But the frogs either didn't or wouldn't understand him. "I never ask a question twice," said the beetle, after he had already asked 3 times, without getting any answer. He went on a little farther and bumped against a piece of broken pottery. It certainly shouldn't have been lying there, but since it was, it gave good shelter. Several families of earwigs lived here, and they didn't need very much room. But they liked company. The females were full of the most devoted mother love, and so each one considered her own child the most beautiful and clever of all. "Our son has become engaged," said one mother. "The sweet, innocent baby. His greatest ambition is to creep someday into a clergyman's ear. He's such a lovely boy, and being engaged will keep him out of mischief. What joy for a mother." "Our son," said another mother, "had hardly crept from the egg before he got into mischief. He's so full of life and spirits, he'll run his horns off. What joy that is for a mother. Isn't that true, Mr. Beetle? For she had recognized the stranger by his shape. You're both quite right, said the beetle. So they invited him to walk in. That is, to come as far as he could under the broken flower pot. Now you ought to see my little earwig, observed a third mother, and a fourth. They're such lovely children, and so amusing. They never behave badly, except when they have a stomach ache. But that happens pretty often at their age. Then each mother spoke of her own youngster, and the youngsters joined in the conversation and used the little forks in their tails to pull the beetle's mustache. The little scamps, they're always up to something, said the mothers, beaming with maternal love. But the beetle was bored by all this, and so he asked how far it was to the nearest hotbed. Oh, that's way out in the world, on the other side of the ditch, said an earwig. I hope none of my children ever goes that far. It would be the death of me. Just the same, I'll try to go that far, said the beetle. And then he went off, without taking any formal leave, for that's considered the politest thing to do. And by the ditch, he met several of his kind, all beetles. We live here, they said, and we're very cozy here too. May we invite you to step down into this rich soil? The journey must have tired you out. Indeed it has, said the beetle. I've been lying on linen out in the rain, and cleanliness tires me very much. I also have rheumatism in my wing joints from standing in a draft under a broken flower pot. It's really very relaxing to be among one's own kind again. Perhaps you come from the hotbed? Asked the oldest of them. Oh, I come from a much higher place, said the beetle. I come from the emperor's stable, where I was born with golden shoes on. I'm traveling on a secret mission. You mustn't ask me any questions, for I won't tell you anything. And so the beetle stepped down into the rich soil. There sat 3 young lady beetles, and they tittered because they didn't know what to say. They are not engaged yet, said their mother. And then the young lady beetles tittered again, this time from embarrassment. I have never seen greater beauties, even in the emperor's stables, said the traveling beetle. Now don't you spoil my daughters, said the mother, and please don't speak to them unless you have serious intentions. But of course, your intentions are honorable, and so I give you my blessing. Hurrah! Cried all the other beetles at once, and so the beetle was engaged. First the engagement, then the wedding. There was nothing to wait for. The following day passed pleasantly, and the next was fair enough. But by the third day, it was time to think of food for the wife, and perhaps for children. I've let them put something over on me, he said, and now the only thing to do is put something over on them in return. And that he did. Away he went. Away all day, and away all night, while his wife was left a widow. The other beetles said that they had taken nothing more than a complete tramp into the family, and now his wife was left a burden on their hands. Well then, she shall be unmarried again, said her mother, and sit here among my unmarried daughters. Shame on that disgusting rascal who deserted her. Meanwhile, the beetle had been traveling on and had sailed across the ditch on a cabbage leaf. That morning, 2 persons came by, and when they saw the beetle, they picked him up, turned him over and over, and both looked very learned, especially one of them, a boy. Allah sees the black beetle in the black stone and in the black mountain, he said. Isn't that in the Quran? Then he translated the beetle's name into Latin and discoursed upon its nature and family history. The older scholar was opposed to carrying him home, saying they had just as good a specimen there. This, the beetle thought, was a very rude thing to say. Consequently, he suddenly flew out of the speaker's hand. As his wings were dry now, he flew a considerable distance and reached a greenhouse where he found a sash of the glass roof partly open. So, with the greatest of ease, he slipped in and buried himself in the manure. It's very comfortable here, he remarked. Soon he fell asleep and dreamed that the emperor's horse had fallen down and that Mr. Beetle had been given its golden shoes, with the promise that he should have 2 more. It was all very charming. And when the beetle woke up, he crept out and looked around him. What splendor there was in the greenhouse! Great palm trees were growing high, and the sun made them look transparent. And beneath them, what a riot of green and blooming flowers, red as fire, yellow as amber, or white as freshly fallen snow. What magnificent plants! How delicious they'll taste when they're nice and decayed, said the beetle. This is a splendid larder. I am sure some of my relatives live here. I'll just see if I can find anyone fit to associate with. I'm proud, and I'm proud of being that way. So he thought of the dream he had had about the dying horse and the golden shoes he had won. But suddenly, a hand seized the beetle and squeezed him and turned him over and over. The gardener's little son and his playmate had come to the greenhouse, and seeing the beetle, had decided to have some fun with him. First, he was wrapped in a vine leaf, and then shoved down into a warm trousers pocket. He squirmed and wriggled, but he got a good squeezing from the boy's hand. The boy went rapidly toward the great lake at the bottom of the garden. Here they put the beetle in an old broken wooden shoe with the top part missing. A little stick was placed upright for a mast, and to this the beetle was bound with a woolen thread. Now he was a skipper and had to sail away. The lake was very large, and to the beetle it seemed a vast ocean. He was so amazed at its size that he fell over on his back and kicked out with all his legs. The wooden shoe sailed away. The current bore it along, but whenever it went too far from shore, one of the boys would roll up his trousers, go in after it, and bring it back. However, just as it sailed merrily out to sea again, the boys were called away, and quite sharply, too, so that they ran away from the lake, leaving the wooden shoe to its fate. It drifted away from the shore, farther and farther out. It was a terrible situation for the beetle. He couldn't fly, for he was bound tightly to the mast. Then a fly paid him a visit. "What beautiful weather we're having," said the fly. "I'll rest here. I can take a sun bath here. You're certainly having a nice time of it." "You don't know what you're talking about," replied the beetle. "Can't you see I'm tied up?" "I'm not a prisoner," said the fly, and promptly flew away. "Well, now I guess I know the world," the beetle said. "And it's a mean place. I'm the only honest person in it. First, they won't give me my golden shoes. Then I have to lie on wet linen and stand in a draft. And as a climax, they hitch a wife to me. Then, when I made a quick move out into the world and found out how people live and how I ought to live, one of these human puppies comes and ties me up and leaves me to the mercy of the wild ocean, while the emperor's horse prances about proudly in golden shoes. That's what annoys me more than anything else. But you mustn't expect sympathy in this world. My career has been very interesting. But what's the good of that, if nobody knows about it? The world doesn't deserve to know about it, for it should have given me golden shoes when the emperor's horse was shod, and I stretched out my feet to be shod too. If they'd given me golden shoes, I'd have been an honor to the stable. Now the stable has lost me, and the world has lost me. It's all over. But it wasn't all over yet. Some young girls came rowing up in a boat. "There's an old wooden shoe sailing along over there," said one of them. "And there's a little animal tied fast in it," said another. Their boat came quite close to the wooden shoe, and they fished him out of the water. One of the girls took out a tiny pair of scissors and cut the woolen thread without hurting the beetle. And when she stepped on shore, she placed him down on the grass. "Crawl, crawl, fly, fly away if you can," she said. "Freedom is a precious thing." And the beetle flew straight through the open window of a large building, and there he sank down, tired and exhausted, in the long, fine, soft mane of the emperor's favorite horse, which was standing in the stable where he and the beetle lived. He clung fast to the mane and sat there a little while until he had collected himself. Here I am sitting on the emperor's favorite horse. Yes, sitting on him as his rider. But what am I saying? Oh, yes. Now it's clear to me. Yes, it's a good idea, and quite right. Why did the horse get golden shoes? The blacksmith asked me. Now I know the answer. They were given to the horse on my account. That put the beetle in good spirits again. Traveling broadens the mind, he said. The sun's rays streamed in on him and shone very brightly. On the whole, the world isn't so bad, after all, said the beetle. But you must know how to take it. The world was wonderful, because the emperor's favorite horse had golden shoes, and because the beetle was its rider. Now, I am going down to the other beetles and tell them about all the pleasures I have enjoyed on my trip abroad. And I am going to say that now I'm going to stay at home until the horse has worn out his golden shoes. What the old man does is always right. I will tell you a story, one that was first told to me when I was a very small boy. It has followed me ever since, like a quiet melody that grows sweeter with time. Every time I recall it, the tale seems more delightful, more full of sunlight and wisdom. For stories, like good wine and kind people, often become better as they grow older. You have surely wandered through the countryside before and seen an ancient farmhouse standing by a dusty lane. One of those humble, weathered houses whose walls lean slightly with age, whose roof is heavy with thatch. Moss and tiny plants creep freely over the roof's ridges, and right upon the gable there rests a stork's nest. Yes, a stork. For what would a proper farmhouse be without one? The walls are rough and gray, the windows low and small, and only one of them can even be opened. The baking oven juts boldly from the wall like a great rounded knob, and beside the paling grows an old elder tree that casts gentle shade over a little pond where a few ducks paddle, wagging their tails in cheerful laziness. A shaggy yard dog keeps guard there too, barking at every passer-by as though the whole world were his concern. Such was the farmhouse that stood along the narrow country road. And in that house lived an old peasant and his wife. They possessed little, hardly enough to call wealth, but they owned something they could not live without. An old horse, faithful and lean, who found its meals by nibbling the grass that grew along the roadside. Upon this horse, the old man would ride into town, and the neighbors often borrowed it from him. For the favor, they paid in kind, a bit of help here, a small service there. And so, life went on contentedly. But one day, as the years crept onward, The old couple thought that perhaps the time had come to sell the horse, or better still, to exchange it for something more useful. What might that be? They wondered. "You'll know best, old man," said the wife, kindly and confident. "It's fair day today. Ride into town and see what you can do. Whether you sell it for money or make a trade, I'll be satisfied. Whatever you decide will be the right thing." She tied his neckerchief neatly for him, for her hands were steadier than his. She smoothed the brim of his hat with her palm, gave him a kiss on the cheek, and wished him luck. Then the old man mounted the horse that was soon to be sold or bartered, and he trotted down the sunny road. The sun blazed fiercely in a cloudless sky, and the road was alive with travelers heading to the fair. Wagons creaked, carts rolled, and people walked or rode, all stirring up thick dust that glittered in the light. As he rode along, the old man came upon a peasant trudging beside a fine brown cow. "A handsome beast," thought the old man. "She looks gentle and strong, and she would give good milk for sure. That would be a fine exchange indeed. A cow for my horse. She'd serve us better than an animal that only eats." "Hello there," he called. "You with the cow? I dare say a horse is worth more than a cow, but what of that? A cow will be more use to me. Shall we trade?" The other man was willing at once, and so the bargain was made. The old man now had a cow and walked beside her contentedly. He might well have turned back home, for his errand was done, but he had set his heart on visiting the fair, even if only to see it, and so onward he went. After a little while, he overtook a fellow driving a fat sheep along the road. Its fleece was thick and shining in the sun. "That's a fine animal," thought the old man. "Plenty of grass at home for him, and in winter he could stay right in our cottage. Yes, that would be better still. Shall I trade again?" The man with the sheep agreed without hesitation, and soon the old man was leading the sheep along, pleased with himself and humming a little tune. Before long, he met another traveler, a man coming out from a field, carrying a large white goose under his arm. "That's a plump one," said the old man aloud. "Look at those feathers and that fat breast. My old woman would be glad indeed to see such a goose. She's often said, 'If only we had a goose.' And here is my chance. Friend, shall we exchange my sheep for your goose? And I'll thank you kindly besides." The bargain was quickly struck, and the old man continued on his way with the goose tucked under his arm. By this time, he was near the town. The road had grown crowded with all manner of creatures and people, cows lowing, pigs squealing, men shouting, children laughing. Near the toll gate, the crowd thickened so much that even the cattle pushed through into the toll-keeper's garden, where a small fowl strutted about with a string tied to its leg. The bird's tail was short, its eyes sharp and knowing, and it clucked in a curious way. Cluck, cluck, as though it had a secret to tell. What a fine fowl that is, thought the peasant. Finer even than our parson's best hen. A fowl can feed itself almost anywhere, scratching up a living from the smallest scraps. That would be just the thing for us. If I could exchange my goose for that fowl, I'd be content indeed. The toll-keeper was amused and agreed, and the exchange was made. The old man now carried the fowl, proud of his day's work, though he had not yet reached the fair at all. Feeling warm and weary, he decided to rest at an inn. Just as he reached the door, the ostler came out, carrying a heavy sack. "What have you there?" asked the old man. "Rotten apples," said the ostler, "a full sack of them, for the pigs." "Rotten apples?" said the old man, brightening. "Why, that would please my old womanhood mightily. Last year, our apple tree bore just one fruit, and she treasured it till it shriveled away. She said, 'Property is property, even if it's only an apple. Think how pleased she'll be when I bring her a whole sackful.'" "What will you give for it?" asked the ostler. "Well," said the peasant, "I'll give you my fowl." The exchange was made, and he set the sack carefully near the stove inside the inn. But the stove was hot, and soon the apples began to sizzle and hiss. The room filled with travelers, horse dealers, cattlemen, and 2 English gentlemen with pockets so heavy with gold that they bulged at the seams. When the old man told them his tale, how he had traded the horse for a cow, the cow for a sheep, the sheep for a goose, the goose for a fowl, and the fowl for a sack of apples, they laughed and said, "Your wife will scold you soundly when you get home." "Scold me," said the peasant, smiling. "Not she. She'll kiss me and say, 'What the old man does is always right.'" "Shall we wager on it?" said one Englishman. £100 in gold that she'll give you a tongue-lashing instead. A bushel of apples against your gold," said the old man. "And I'll throw myself and my old woman in to fill the measure." The wager was made, and soon a carriage was brought round. Off they went, the 2 Englishmen and the peasant, bumping along the lane until they reached the old farmhouse. "Good evening, old woman," said the husband cheerily. "Good evening, old man," she answered. "Well, did you sell the horse?" "I made an exchange," said he, "and a fine one at that. I got a cow for it." "Thank heaven," cried the wife. "Now we'll have milk and butter and cheese. That was wisely done." "Yes, but I changed the cow for a sheep." "Even better," she said, clapping her hands. "The cow eats too much, and the sheep will give us wool besides. Jackets and stockings. Wonderful. But I traded the sheep for a goose. Then we shall feast this year, said the old woman, laughing. You always think of me. Roast goose, just imagine. And then I gave the goose for a fowl. That's splendid, she said. A fowl lays eggs, and from eggs come chickens. A fine poultry yard we'll have. And finally, said he, I exchanged the fowl for a sack of apples. For that, she cried, you deserve a kiss. And she gave him one at once. You know, this morning I went to borrow some herbs from the schoolmaster's wife, and she said scornfully that she hadn't even a shriveled apple to lend. Now I can lend her 10, a whole sackful. Oh, that makes me laugh for joy. The Englishmen stared in wonder. Always trading downward, and always happy, they said. That is worth every penny. And they paid the peasant his 100 weight of gold. So the story proves true. It always pays best when a wife believes in her husband, and when love is richer than gold. That is the story I heard when I was a child, and now you have heard it too. And you know that indeed, whatever the old man does is always right. The Snowman, adapted and enlarged in the spirit of Hans Christian Andersen. It is delightfully cold, said the Snowman, standing proud and still in the middle of the frozen garden. The frost bites so sweetly that it makes my whole body crackle. This is the perfect sort of wind, the kind that fills a snow creature with life. Ah, but what is that enormous red eye staring down at me from the sky? He was speaking of the sun, which had sunk low and now blazed upon the horizon like a fiery ember. It glares at me most rudely, muttered the Snowman. I shall not blink. No, not one piece of me shall melt beneath that stare. His head was crowned with 2 shards of tile for eyes, and a broken rake served as his mouth, complete with jagged teeth. The boys who had built him shouted merrily, their laughter mixing with the jingle of sleigh bells and the sharp whistle of whips over the snow. In that chorus of winter joy, the Snowman had awakened to awareness. The sun slipped away, and a great round moon rose in its place, pale and full, sailing slowly across a sky as blue as steel. There! It has returned already, said the Snowman in wonder. But I have taught it not to stare. Now it glides gently, giving me light enough to admire myself. If only I could move, I should love to slide across the ice as the boys do. Yet my legs refuse me. I do not even know how to run. Run away, away, barked an old yard dog whose voice was cracked with age. He had once lived in comfort by a warm hearth, but since being chained outside, his voice had grown hoarse and harsh. The sun will make you run one day. I've seen it happen to your kind before. Each of you ends up running off, puddle by puddle, away, away. I don't understand you, friend, said the snowman. Do you mean that glowing thing in the sky? Is it to teach me how to run? I saw it racing earlier, and now it creeps back from the other side. You know nothing, rasped the yard dog. You've only just been patched together from frost. That shining disk is the moon. The one before it was the sun. It will come again tomorrow, and when it does, you'll learn all about running straight into the ditch by the well. Mark my words, there's a change in the weather coming. My left hind leg aches, always a sure sign. The snowman tilted his tiled eyes, trying to follow this. I do not like the sound of that, he thought. The creature who stared at me earlier, that burning one, he is no friend of mine. The dog gave another rough bark of away, away, turned round 3 times and crept into his kennel, sighing himself to sleep. And indeed, the weather changed. By dawn, a heavy fog lay across the countryside, and a wind so sharp blew that the air itself seemed made of glass. When the sun finally rose, the world glistened as if remade. Trees and bushes were wrapped in silver hoarfrost. Every twig hung with crystals. What had been hidden by green leaves in summer now stood revealed. Every curve, every lace-fine branch etched in white. The whole garden looked as though carved from pearl and coral. Where the light struck, the snow flashed like diamonds scattered by invisible hands. The birch trees, quivering in the wind, looked alive, and the fields sparkled with so many tiny suns that one could hardly bear to look. This is truly beautiful, said a young girl who had come into the garden with her companion. They stopped beside the snowman, marveling at the splendor. Not even summer can rival this, she whispered, her cheeks glowing. And summer can't give us a fellow like this one, laughed the young man, pointing to the snowman. He's magnificent, solid as a knight in armor. The girl laughed, curtsied playfully toward the snowman, and skipped away, her boots creaking on the frozen snow like new starch. Who are those two? Asked the snowman, turning stiffly toward the dog. You have been here longer than I? Do you know them? Of course I know them, growled the dog. The girl has stroked my back many a time, and the lad has tossed me bones. I never bite them. They are good creatures. But what kind of beings are they? Asked the snowman, puzzled. They are lovers, said the yard dog, yawning. "They'll soon live together, sharing one kennel and gnawing the same bone. That's how it goes. Away, away." "Are they like you and me?" asked the snowman curiously. "In a way," replied the dog. "We all serve the same master, after all. But you were born only yesterday, so you know nothing of the world. I have age and wisdom. Once I too lived inside, warm and grand. But that was long ago." He rattled his chain gloomily. "The cold is delightful," said the snowman. "But do tell me more. Only please, don't clank your chain. It sends shivers through me." "Away, away," barked the dog, but he went on talking, half pleased to have a listener. "I was quite the darling once. The mistress called me Ami, sweet Ami, pretty Ami. They wiped my paws with embroidered napkins and kissed my nose. I slept in a velvet chair beside the fire. Then I grew. Too large, they said, and they sent me to the housekeeper's room below. Still, it wasn't bad. I had my cushion and my stove. Ah, the stove, finest thing in the world. I'd crawl right beneath it, close my eyes, and dream of paradise." "Does a stove look beautiful?" asked the snowman, eager. "Is it anything like me?" "Quite the opposite," said the dog. "It's black as coal, with a long neck and a shiny brass knob. It eats wood and spits fire, but it gives warmth, real warmth. You can see it through the window there." The snowman turned his tiled eyes toward the house. Through the frosted pane, he saw a gleam, a polished shape glowing with quiet fire. Something stirred within his icy chest, a strange, melting longing. He could not name it, yet he felt it deeply. "And why did you ever leave it?" he asked softly. "How could you abandon such a place? Such a creature?" "I had no choice," said the dog. "I bit the master's son when he kicked away my bone. They chained me out here. Since then, I bark at the moon and dream of my stove. Away, away." But the snowman scarcely heard him. He stood staring through the window, enchanted. Inside, the stove stood upon 4 iron legs, about his own height, glowing softly. "What is this crackling inside me?" he whispered. "I long to go to her, to rest beside her warmth. Surely that cannot be wrong. If I must break the window to reach her, so be it." "Never go near her," warned the dog. "If you do, you'll melt to nothing. Away, away." "I may melt already," murmured the snowman, "but I must see her again." All day he stood watching the window, and as evening fell, The room seemed even more inviting. The stove shimmered red within, her glow spreading like a secret heartbeat. When the door of the stove opened, a tongue of flame leapt forth, and the light fell across the snowman's face, painting him with color for the first time. "How beautifully she shines," sighed the snowman. "How sweetly she breathes fire." The night passed slowly for the rest of the world, but not for him. He stood dreaming, lost in a warmth he could never touch. By morning, the window panes were covered with intricate flowers of ice, the loveliest any snowman could wish for. Yet they hid his beloved stove from view. The air was colder than ever, but he no longer rejoiced in it. How could he? He was sick with yearning, stove sick, as the dog called it. "That's a dangerous illness for our kind," said the dog, shaking his head. "I've felt it myself, but I got over it. The weather will change soon. Mark my words." And so it did. A thaw set in. Day by day, the air grew softer, and the snowman shrank. He said nothing. He only leaned a little more, quietly fading. One morning, he was gone. Only a broomstick stood where he had been, the pole around which the boys had built him. "Ah," said the yard dog, sniffing, "now I understand his longing. That pole, it's the very shovel used to tend the stove. No wonder the poor fellow yearned for her." He gave a rough, hoarse bark. "But it's all over now. Away, away." The winter soon passed. The snow melted. The sun grew gentle, and the girls in the house sang sweetly at the open window. "Come, gentle sun, while the cuckoo sings, the willow wakes, and the green thyme springs. The lark shall rise on joyful wings. O sweet return of wandering spring." And no one thought again of the snowman who had loved the stove. In the duck yard, a duck arrived from Portugal. Some people said she came from Spain, but that doesn't really matter. She was called the Portuguese. She laid eggs and was killed and dressed and cooked. That's the story of her life. But all the ducklings that were hatched from her eggs were also called Portuguese, and there's some distinction in that. At last, there was only one left of her whole family in the duck yard, a yard to which the hens also had access, and where the cock strutted about with endless arrogance. "His loud crowing annoys me," said the Portuguese duck. "But there's no denying he's a handsome bird, even if he isn't a drake. Of course, he should moderate his voice, but that's an art that comes from higher education, such as the little songbirds over in our neighbors' lime trees have. How sweetly they sing. There's something so touching over their melodies. I call it Portugal. If I only had a little songbird like that, I'd be a kind and good mother to him. For that's in my blood, my Portuguese blood." While she was speaking, suddenly a little songbird fell head over heels from the roof into the yard. The cat had been chasing him, but the bird escaped with a broken wing and fell down into the duck yard. "That's just like the cat, that monster," said the Portuguese duck. "I remember his tricks from when I had ducklings of my own. That such a creature should be permitted to live and roam about on the roofs. I'm sure such things could not happen in Portugal." She pitied the little songbird, and even the other ducks who weren't Portuguese felt pity for him, too. "Poor little fellow," they said, and then one after another came up to look at him. "Of course we can't sing," they said, "but we have an inner understanding of song, or something like that. We can feel it, even if we don't talk about it." "Then I will talk about it," said the Portuguese, "and I'll do something for this little fellow. It's only my duty." And then she stepped into the water trough and thrashed her wings about the water so vigorously that the little songbird was almost drowned by the shower he got. But he knew the duck meant well. "There, that's a good deed," she said. "The others may observe it and profit by my example." "Peep," said the little bird. One of his wings was broken, and he was finding it difficult to shake himself, but he quite understood that the bath was meant kindly. "You're very kind-hearted, madam," he said, hoping she wouldn't give him another shower. "I never thought much about my heart," said the Portuguese. "But I know this much. I love all my fellow creatures except the cat. Nobody could expect me to love him, for he ate up 2 of my ducklings. Now make yourself at home, for you can be quite comfortable here. I myself am a foreigner, as you can tell from my bearing, and my feather dress. My drake is a native of this country. He doesn't have my blood, but still, I'm not proud. If anyone in this yard can understand you, I may safely say it is I." "Her beak is full of portulaca," said a common little duck, who was considered very witty. All the other common ducks decided the word portulaca was very funny, for it sounded like Portugal. They poked each other and said, "Quack." He was really so witty. And now all the other ducks began to pay attention to the little songbird. "The Portuguese certainly has a great command of language," they said. "For our part, we haven't room in our beaks for such big words, but we have just as much sympathy in any way. Even if we don't actually do anything for you, at least we will go about quietly with you. And that we think is the nicest thing we can do." "You have a lovely voice," said one of the older ducks. "It must be a great satisfaction to you to give so many as much pleasure as you do. I don't really understand singing, so I keep my beak shut. That's better than chattering nonsense to you the way the others do." "Don't bother him," said the Portuguese. "He needs rest and care. My little songbird, do you want me to give you another shower bath?" "Oh, no, please let me stay dry," he begged. "The water cure is the only that does me any good when I'm sick," said the Portuguese. "But amusement helps too. The neighboring hens will soon be coming to visit us. There are 2 Chinese hens among them. They wear breeches, are well educated, and have been imported, so they stand higher than the others in my esteem." And the hens came, and the cock came with them. Today he was polite enough not to be rude. "You're a true songbird," he said, "and you do all you possibly can with such a small voice as yours. But you should have a little steam power, so everyone would hear that you are a male." The 2 Chinese were enraptured at the appearance of the songbird. He was still very much rumpled up after his bath, so he looked to them like a little china chicken. "He's charming," they cried, and then engaged themselves in conversation with him. They talked in whispers and with a P sound in elegant Chinese. "We belong to your race. The ducks, even the Portuguese one, are swimming birds, as you must have noticed. You don't know us yet. Not very many people take the trouble to know us. Not even any of the hens, though we were born to occupy a higher perch than most of the others. But that doesn't bother us. We go our way quietly among the others, whose ideals are quite different from ours. We look only at the bright side of things and mention only what's good, though it's sometimes difficult to find something like that when there isn't anything. Besides us 2 and the cock, there is no one in the whole hen yard who is talented. And honesty does not exist among the inhabitants of this duck yard. We warn you, little songbird, don't trust that one over there with the short feathers in her tail. She's tricky. The spotted one there, with the crooked stripes on her wings, is always looking for an argument and won't let anybody have the last word, though she's always in the wrong. The fat duck over there never has a good thing to say about anybody, and that is contrary to our nature. If we haven't something good to say, we keep our beaks shut. The Portuguese is the only one who has a little education and whom one can associate with. But she's hot-tempered and talks too much about Portugal. "How those 2 Chinese are always whispering," said one of the ducks. "They annoy me. I have never spoken to them." Now the drake came up, and he thought the little songbird was a sparrow. "Well, I don't see any difference," he said. "It's all the same anyway. He's just a plaything, and if you have one, why you have one. Don't pay any attention to what he says," the Portuguese whispered. "He is a very respectable businessman, and with him, business always comes first. But now, I'm going to lie down for a rest. You owe that to yourself, so you'll be nice and fat when the time comes to be embalmed with apples and plums." And then she lay down in the sun and blinked one eye. She lay so comfortably and felt so well, and so she slept very comfortably. The little songbird busied himself with his broken wing, but finally he too lay down, pressed close beside his patroness. The sun was bright and warm. It was a good place to be. The neighbors' hens scurried about, scratching up the earth. For, to tell the truth, they had come visiting solely for the sake of getting something to eat. The Chinese were the first to leave the duck yard, and the other hens soon followed them. The witty little duck was talking about the Portuguese and said the old lady was on the brink of duckdom's dotage. At this, the other ducks chuckled. "Duckdom's dotage?" they cackled. "That's unusually witty." Then they repeated the other joke about Portulaca. That was very amusing to them. And then they lay down. They had been sleeping for some time when suddenly some food was thrown in for them. It landed with such a thump that the whole flock started up from sleep and flapped their wings. The Portuguese woke up too and rolled over on the other side, squeezing the little songbird very hard as she did so. "Peep," he said, "you stepped so hard on me, madam." "Well, why do you lie in the way?" she said. "You mustn't be so touchy. I have nerves too, but I have never yet said peep." "Please don't be angry," said the little bird. "The peep slipped off my beak before I knew it." The Portuguese didn't listen to him, but began gobbling as fast as she could, until she had made a good meal. When she had finished, she lay down again, and the little bird came up and tried to please her by singing, "Tilly lily lee, of your heart with glee, I shall sing with love when I fly above." "I need to rest after my meal," said the Portuguese. "While you're here, you must follow the house rules. I want to take a nap now." The little songbird was quite bewildered, for he had only tried to please her. When she awoke later, he stood before her with a grain of corn he had found and laid it in front of her. But as she hadn't slept well, she was in a very bad humor. "You can give that to a chicken," she said, "and don't stand and hang over me." "Why are you angry with me?" he asked. "What have I done?" "Done?" said the Portuguese. "Your manner of expression isn't very refined. I must call your attention to that. Yesterday, it was all sunshine here," said the little bird. "But today, it's dark and cloudy. It makes me very sad." "You don't know much about weather, I guess," said the Portuguese. "The day isn't over yet. Don't just stand there looking stupid." "But you're looking at me just as those two wicked eyes did when I fell into the yard." "Impudent," said the Portuguese, "comparing me with the cat, a beast of prey. There's not a drop of wicked blood in me. I've stood up for you, and I'll have to teach you good manners." And with that, she bit off the songbird's head, and he lay there dead. "Now what does this mean?" she said. "Couldn't he even stand that? Then he certainly wasn't intended for this world. I know I've been like a mother to him because I have such a good heart." And then the neighbor's cock stuck his head into the yard and crowed like a steam engine. "Your crowing will kill me," she cried. "It's all your fault. He's lost his head, and I've nearly lost mine. There isn't much left of him," said the cock. "You speak of him with respect," said the Portuguese, "because he had a voice and a fine education. He was tender and soft, and that's as good in animals as in so-called human beings." And all the ducks gathered around the little dead songbird. Ducks have strong passions, whether they feel envy or pity, and since there was no one here to envy, they all felt pity, and so did even the 2 Chinese hens. "We'll never find such a songbird again. He was almost a Chinese." And they both wept with a great clucking noise. All the other chickens clucked too, but the ducks walked around with the reddest eyes. "We have hearts," they said. "Nobody can deny that." "Hearts," said the Portuguese. "Yes, that we have. They're almost as tender as in Portugal. Let us now think about getting something in our stomachs," said the drake. "That's the most important thing. If one of our playthings is broken, why, we have plenty more of them." The new century's goddess, the new century's goddess, whom our great-grandchildren, or perhaps a still later generation, will know, but we shall not. When and how does she reveal herself? What does she look like? What is the theme of her song? Whose heartstrings will she touch? To what heights will she lift her century? Why so many questions in a busy day like ours, when poetry is very nearly superfluous, when it is agreed that the many immortal productions of today's poets will, in the future, perhaps exist only in the form of charcoal tracings on a prison wall, seen and read only by a few curiosity seekers? Poesy is required to serve in the ranks, at least to accept the challenge in party wars, whether it be blood or ink that flows. But this is only one-sided talk, many will say. Poesy has not been entirely forgotten in our time. No, there are still people who, when they are not busy, are conscious of a desire for poetry. And no sooner do they feel that spiritual rumbling in their respective nobler parts than they promptly go to a bookstore and buy 4 shillings worth of poetry of the most approved styles. Others take much pleasure from whatever they can get at a bargain. They are contented with reading the scrap that is on the grocer's wrapping paper. It is much cheaper, and in our busy time, we must take notice of that. There is demand for whatever is supplied, and that is enough. The poetry of the future, as well as the poetry of music, is reckoned with the Don Quixotiana. To speak of it is much like speaking of a voyage of discovery to Uranus. Time is too short and precious for the mere plays of fantasy. And to speak seriously for once, what is poetry? These resonant outpourings of feeling and thought, they are only the offspring of nervous vibrations, enthusiasm, joy, pain, all the movements of the organism, the wise men tell us, are but nerve vibrations. Each of us is but a string instrument. But who touches the strings? Who causes them to vibrate into sound? The Spirit, the unseen heavenly Spirit, who echoes in them His emotion, His feelings. And these are understood by other string instruments, which respond in melting harmonies or clashing dissonances. So it was, and so it will be, in mankind's mighty onward march in the consciousness of freedom. Each century, each 1,000 years, one might even say, has its chief expression in its poetry. Born in the passing era, it comes forth and reigns in the new, succeeding era. Thus, she is already born, this goddess of the new century, amid the roar of today's machinery. We send her our greetings. May she hear this, or sometime read it, perhaps among the charcoal tracings we just mentioned, the rocker of her cradle, extended from the farthest point, reached by the foot of man on polar voyages, as far as the living eye can gaze into the jet depth of the polar sky. We would never hear the rocking for the clatter of engines, the screams of locomotives, the thunder of quarry blasts, and the bursting of the spirit-souled bonds. She is born in the vast factory of the present, where steam sets in action its power, and where Master Bloodless and his crew toil night and day. She bears the womanly heart of love, the Vestal S flame, and the furnace of passion. Hers is the lightning ray of intellect, in all its endless, shifting, prismatic hues of the ages. Fantasy, as vast, swan-feathered tunic, is her strength and pride. Science wove it. The elemental forces gave it power of wing. On her father's side, she is a child of the people, sound in sense and heart, with an earnest eye and with humor on her lips. Her mother is the high-born, academy-trained emigrant's daughter, with gilded rococo reminiscences. The goddess of the new century has in her the blood and soul of both. Upon her cradle were laid splendid birthday gifts, plentiful as bonbons, The occult riddles of nature, with their solutions, are strewn there. The diver S. Bell gives mystic souvenirs from the deep. The map of the heavens, that high-hung Pacific Ocean, with its countless isles, each a world in itself, is embroidered on the cradle cloth. The sun paints her pictures. Photography has given her toys to play with. The nurse has sung to her of Eyvind Skalda Spiller and Ferdowsi, of the Minnesingers, and what Heine, bold as a boy, sang from his poetic soul. Much, far too much, has the nurse told her. She knows the Edda, the old great-grandmother's frightful tales, where horrors sweep the air with bloody wings. The whole of the Oriental 1001 Nights she heard in the quarter part of an hour. The goddess of the new century is still a child, but she has sprung forth from her cradle and is governed by will, though she still doesn't know what she wants. She is still at play in her vast nursery, packed with treasures of art and the Rococo. Greek tragedy and Roman comedy are carved there in marble. The folk songs of the nations cover the walls like withered vines. A kiss from her, and they blossom forth with freshness and sweet vapor. The mighty tones and thoughts of Beethoven, Mozart, Gluck, and the other great masters surround her with eternal chords. On her bookshelves are many laid to rest, who in their day were immortal. And there is yet room for many another, whose name we hear clicking from the telegraph of immortality, but who dies with the telegram. She has read an awful lot, far too much, for is she not born in our time? And all too much must again be forgotten. But the goddess will know how to forget. She doesn't think of her song, which will flourish in thousands of years to come, beside the legends of Moses and Bidpai's golden fable about the craft and luck of the fox. She doesn't think of her mission or of her melodious future. She is still playing, while the struggles of nations shake the air and sound figures of pen and cannon rush to and fro, runes of mystic reading. She wears a Garibaldi hat, and when she reads her Shakespeare, she stops for a moment to think, he can still be played when I am grown. Calderon rests in the tomb of his works, beneath the tablet of his glory. The goddess is cosmopolitan, for she has bound together Holberg with Molière, Plautus, and Aristophanes. But most she reads her Molière. She is free from the turbulence that drives the goats of the Alps. But still, her soul yearns for the salt of life. As the goats pant for the mountain salt, there is calm in her heart. As in the ancient Hebrew songs, the voice of the nomad drifts over green pastures beneath starry skies. And yet, in song, her heart swells mightier than the heart of the inspired warrior from the Thessalonian mountains in the old days of Greece. How goes it with her Christendom? She has learned the ins and outs of philosophy. The elements broke one of her milk teeth, but a new one grew. While yet in the cradle, she ate of the fruit of knowledge and grew wise, so that immortality flashed forth before her as mankind happiest thought. When begins the new age of poesy? When will the goddess be known? When will she be heard? On a wonderful spring morning, she will come on the locomotive dragon, thundering over bridges and through dark tunnels, or on the back of the puffing dolphin across the calm but surging sea, or high in the air, carried by Montgolfier's bird, rock, descending in the land where first her God-given voice shall greet the race of man. When will she come from the newfound land of Columbus, the land of freedom, where the native is hunted and the African is a beast of burden, the land from where we heard the song of Hiawatha, or from the Antipodes, that golden nugget in the southern sea, the land of opposites, where our nighttime is their daytime, and where the black swans sing in mossy forests, or maybe from the land where Memnon as pillar rings, but we never understood the song of the Sphinx in the desert, from the Isle of the Coal Pit, where, since the age of the great Elizabeth, Shakespeare has reigned, or from Tycho Brahe's home, where he wasn't wanted, or from California's fairyland, where the redwood holds high its crown as king of the earth's forests. When shall the star be lit, the star on the brow of the goddess, the flower on whose petals is inscribed the centuries' ideal of beauty in form, color, and fragrance? What is the goddess's new platform? Inquires the skillful politician of the day. What does she stand for? Better ask what she does not stand for. She will not appear as a ghost of bygone times. She will not fashion her dramas from the discarded splendor of the stage, nor cover the lack of dramatic architecture with the dazzling colors of lyric drapery. Her flight forth among us will be as from the car of Thespis to the marble arena. She will not shatter normal human speech to fragments, to be clinked together for an artificial music box with tones from troubadour tournaments. Nor will she separate patrician verse and plain plebeian prose. Twins are they, in voice, quality, and power. Nor will she carve from the saga blocks of Iceland and ancient gods, for they are dead. No sympathy or fellowship awaits them in our day. Nor will she command her generation to occupy their thoughts with the fabric of a French novel. Nor will she dull them with the chloroform of everyday history. She will bring the elixir of life. Her song whether in verse or prose, will be brief, clear, and rich. The nation's heartbeats are but letters in the endless alphabet of mankind growth. She grasps each letter with equal lovingness, and ranges all in words, and weaves her words into rhythms for her age's hymn. And when shall the hour come? It will be long to us who are still here, brief to those who have flown ahead. The Chinese wall will soon fall. The railways of Europe open old Asia's tightly sealed culture archives, and the opposing streams of human culture meet, mayhap with a thunderous crash. The oldsters of our days will tremble at that sound, and hear in it a judgment, the fall of ancient gods, forgetting that times and peoples must pass from the earth, and only a tiny image sealed in a word casket remain of each, floating like a lotus flower on the stream of eternity, and telling us that all were flesh of our flesh, dressed in different attire. The Jewish image shines radiant from the Bible, the Greek from the Iliad and the Odyssey, and ours. Ask it of the coming goddess at judgment time, when the new heaven is lifted to light and sight at the judgment day. All the power of steam and all the pressure of modern times were levers. Master Bloodless and his busy crew, who seem the all-powerful rulers of our day, are but its servants, black slaves, to adorn the festive hall. Open its treasures, set its tables, for the great feast day, when the goddess, a child of innocence, a maid of inspiration, a matron of calm wisdom, shall lift on high the wonderful lamp of poetry, that rich, full human heart, flaming with the fire of God. Greetings, you goddess of poetry. 's coming age, may our salutation be heard, as is heard the worm as hymn of thanksgiving, the worm that is cut to pieces beneath the plow, while a new springtime is dawning, and the plowman draws his furrow among us worms, crushing us, that your blessings may be bestowed upon the coming generation. Greetings, you goddess of the new century.